Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a good day, and I'm finally getting around to talking about the new cards that we're going to be seeing in the first major set of the year for the Pokemon TCG. These cards are not actually really that new now, and how new in fact, well, if you go back onto Pokebeach, I've had to go all the way back to page 3 for the news. Well, to be fair, this came out the 23rd of December, so actually, what would it be now, the 15th of January? Not too bad, considering I didn't really do anything over Christmas and New Year. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, by the way, if I haven't already said it. I think I might have already said it, but I'll say it again. Happy Christmas and Happy New Year, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, there's now a lot, a lot of these new cards to go through. Forget Paldean Fates. Is it called Paldean? I think it's called Paldean Fates. Forget about that. It doesn't matter. There's basically nothing good in that set anyway. It's redundant. I'm not bothered about it. I may not even buy the ETB. And I've bought, if you can see on the camera there, on the far end, let me just do this. This there. Is that right? Yeah, they're all ETBs, and then just above that's Metal Gear Solid games, and just above there are some more ETBs. But this one, I'll actually leave the camera a bit. Yeah. See, I had that. I have somewhere that I have to put my stuff anyway, but it also looks nice to show the geeky stuff in the background, and then I'm wearing the gym top as well because I'm a bit of everything. But anyway, we haven't got time for this sort of rambling. It's 1.5 minutes in. We haven't looked at a single card yet. Before you do that, though, can you please give a like, comment, and a subscribe to the channel? That always helps. I'm very close to hitting 500 subscribers, which for me is really exciting. For other people is pretty bunk, but hey ho, we've got to start somewhere, don't we? So yeah, thank you very much, everyone who is subscribed and who's watching. I know that it's something like 4% of my subscribers watch my videos. Well, 4% of my views, I should say, is from my subscribers. So I'd like to get that up. I would like to get some repeat viewers and, yeah, start to build up some traction on the channel. That'd be really, really, really nice. So without further ado, let's look at some cards. And like I said, I've gone all the way back to page 3. Before we go too much further, I will actually just quickly, let's just do, because I didn't even find it. This is getting a reprint. First and foremost, you can see this is the new version. We can see here Master Ball was the first A spec shown, a reprint of the old Master Ball Search Your Depth for a card, a Pokemon card, and put it into your hand. So that is the first. Anyone wondering, this is the old Master Ball, which is, you might know the text as Great Ball now. Doesn't matter anyway, let's not get into that. But this is the ones from the new Japanese set, Wild Force and Cyber Judge. Okay, so Wild Force and Cyber Judge. So Wild Force is going to be the set, as we know, Japan seems to do split sets because apparently they've got nothing better to do than spend money. They have split sets between Ancient and Future. Wild Force, I think in the name, is Ancient, and Cyber Judge is Future. So we're going to look through some of the new cards, and you can see here that the legendary cats are featured, along with some of the. These are the legendaries from, I believe, I want to say Diamond and Pearl. Is that right? Someone will kick my ass for getting that wrong. Is it Black and White? I think it's Diamond and Pearl, Virizion, Cobalion, and Terrakion. Those three. So some Gen 2 Ancients and some Gen 4, I believe, Futures. So yeah, let's go for it. Gouging Fire. Of course, we need to remember the new names of these Pokemon because Ancient Salamence doesn't cut it. Ancient Entei doesn't quite cut it. So here he is. Gouging Fire EX. Has 230 HP. Seems to be the norm now for these basic EX Pokemon. 2 energy, 1 fire, 1 colorless, 60 damage. And 3 energy, 2 fire, 1 colorless, 260 damage. Yep, 260 damage. This Pokemon can't use Exploding Flare again until it leaves the active spot. So, kind of an interesting one there. We've gotten used to the attacks which are during your next turn, this Pokemon can't attack or you can't use this attack. No, this one straight up says you cannot use this attack again until he's out of the active spot. Now, luckily, the way that Pokemon TCG seems to be going at the moment, he's probably not going to be there for very long. because he's just going to get absolutely blasted into orbit. But still, interesting. 260 damage, and of course, it is an ancient Pokemon, meaning you can put that HP up with the ancient booster capsule up to 290 HP. It can be powered up with Professor Sada's Vitality, so definitely worth mentioning. It's fire type, so you can also power it up with the Stadium, which name I've forgotten, but it's in Entei Valiant, so I should remember it. Anyway, it's able to power up. This is potentially the new Moon. Instead of doing 220 or auto knockout, you're just yeeting 260, which is knocking out most things in the format. So pretty good. I like it. I think it's very good. Moving on, excuse me, Walking Wake EX, Suicune, Ancient Suicune. Walking Wake EX has 220 HP, so 10 less than the Gouging Fire. It has an ability, which I think is pretty good. Damage from this Pokemon's attacks is not affected by any effects on your opponent's active Pokemon, so it can hit through Safeguard, which is great. I don't know what else it needs to hit through, but it can hit through Safeguard, which is nice. Again, 220 HP, one water, double colorless. Catharsis Roar, 120 damage. If your opponent's active Pokemon is affected by any special conditions, this attack does 120 more damage. So now we're starting to get complicated here. Again, it's an ancient Pokemon. You can ancient booster capture it up to 270 HP, and you can also be playing that Brute Bonnet to give the opponent's Pokemon and your own. If you don't put a capsule on your Walking Wake, poison. And if they're poisoned, they're going to take 240. Plus 10 from the poison is 250. I think that's pretty good. It's two colorless there, so you can put the double turbo on it. Double turbo is not being rotated, so that's definitely worth remembering. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Bit of a compared to, I mean, we've seen with Roaring Moon that it can be difficult if the deck is too convoluted to get that kind of aggressive setup going. So it might be a bit too much of an ask here to get Walking Wake going with energy on it. Although you can just Sada and double turbo it, which is nice. And the Brute Bonnet with the tool on, we'll see. But definitely a good card to add to the repertoire of the Ancients and Sada. Not much more to say about it really than that. Oh, it has a 1 energy retreat cost, which is good. Gouging Fire has 2. 1 energy seems quite low. Let's go to probably, actually, I would say, even though I'm most bullish on Gouging Fire, this is probably going to be the one that's probably the most playable. Raging Bolt EX, which is our long-necked Raikou. 240 HP. This boy is a monstrosity. He has 240 HP. He has 2 attacks. First one is for a colorless Bursting Roar. Discard your hand and draw 6, which is pretty good. It's a shame you can't attack on your first turn going first. If you could, that would be a really good card. A really good attack. Extreme Ascent. This is where it gets funky fresh. Lightning and Fighting type. Now, it's worth noting that this Pokemon is Dragon. It's not Lightning. It is Dragon. Which means it, of course, doesn't have any weakness. 70 damage. You may discard any amount of basic energy attached to your Pokemon in play. This attack does 70 damage for each card you discarded in this way. So already we are in a position here. This is our Rayquaza Light, if you like. More efficient, potentially more effective as well. We have Lightning type here, so if we're playing Lightning Pokemon, we could be using Generator. We can Sada. How many times do I have to say it? We can Sada. We can get this boy up to a huge 300 HP with the Ancient Booster Capsule as well. It does have 3 retreat costs, which sucks. But yeah, big boy for sure. So interesting to see Raging Bolt EX doing its raging thing when it comes out. I think it's interesting. I'd be interested to see this set comes out not too long before EUIC, and EUIC is the first major featuring these cards. So it's going to be interesting. I mean, if you're going to EUIC, it's gonna pay dividends to start getting in the lab now and deciding whether or not these cards are going to be the ones for you. Next, Ancient Pokemon Flutter Mains. We're finally getting this is Mischievous or Mismagius, one of the two. This is the Ancient one, 90 HP. This one's not an EX. It is Psychic type. These cards are so nice, aren't they, with the Ancient bit on the side. As long as this Pokemon is in the active spot, your opponent's active Pokemon has no abilities except for Fluttering Fluttering Dusk. So this is similar to Klefki. Now, Klefki affects all of your opponent's basic Pokemon. This only affects the opponent's active, but also affects evolutions. So an interesting stall card here, potentially. Flying Curse for 3 colorless, 90 damage, but 2 damage counters on your opponent's bench Pokemon any way you like. Not too many options with 2 counters. Either going to be 2 on 1 or 2 or 1 on 2 separate Pokemon. But hey ho. Now, Weak to Metal and 1 retreat cost. An interesting card for sure. There's definitely some cooking to be done here with this, shutting down your opponent's Pokemon. We're going to jump straight in now with a supporter, a new ancient supporter, Explorer's Guidance. Definitely going to be full art for this, isn't there? Look at the top 6 cards of your deck and put 2 of them into your hand. Discard the other cards. Now, I do remember when I first saw this, and I actually think this is pretty cracked. Although, generally with the ancient decks, we're going to be looking to use Sada most turns. This is like, I mean, for Entei Valiant, this is like Colress on crack, really. You're instead of seeing 5, or you're only getting 2 cards, you're not getting 3, but you're seeing 6 cards. You're getting through 6 cards of the deck. Put 2 in hand, discard the others. Seems pretty good to me. If we ever see like a dark patch for fire Pokemon, which just seems like it would be such a mistake. But if we do ever see something like that, Gouging Fire suddenly would just, going crazy. Magma Basin was the stadium from earlier. We got there in the end. Anyway, I think this is a good card. It's going to be maybe seeing some play. Probably not as good as Sada, but decent. And now, from there, looks like we're going straight into some future stuff. Here is our future Virizion. The Iron Leaves EX. It is still grass type, even though it's the future. There's no changing type here. 220 HP, 1 retreat cost. This is going to be an interesting one, I think. In fact, I know that it is. Once during your turn, when you play this Pokemon from your hand onto your bench, you may switch this Pokemon with your active Pokemon. If you do, you may move any number of energy from your bench Pokemon to this Pokemon. That, in my opinion, is very, very, very good. It has the type advantage on Charizard, which is obviously a very good card right now. Grass, Colorless, Prismatic Edge, 180 damage. During your next turn, this Pokemon can't attack. You may move any number of energy. The thing that's funny about this is, like, I've just looked at the ancient Pokemon. I know what Sada does. I've been playing a lot of Roaring Moon. I know that I can accelerate energy with Sada. I know that I can accelerate energy with Dark Patch. I've been playing it with Iron Hands as well. You can just throw Iron Leaves EX into a Roaring Moon deck, and because you're powering up with the Sada, if you just retreat into it, let's say you got Morpeko active, it just powers it up. Like, there's like synergy between these future and ancients. It's just silly. Anyway, let's move on. I think this is good. I know people are kind of on the fence about this. I think it's decent. Iron Crown EX. Now we're going into the meat and veg of the situation. Iron Crown EX is a psychic type. This is our Cobalion. 220 HP also, which 220 can be a bit of a bummer in this 220 damage format with Miraidon and Moon again. I keep talking about Moon. I've been playing a lot of Moon, can you tell? Let's have a look at its ability. Your future Pokemon's attacks, excluding any Iron Crown EX, do 20 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. Now let's just stop and think about that for a moment. Future Pokemon. Future boost energy capsule, free retreat, plus 20 damage. If you get 4 Iron Crown in play and attach a future boost energy capsule to an active non-Iron Crown Pokemon, you can do a plus 100 damage to your opponent's active. That seems very good on the face of it. Twin Shotels. This attack does 50 damage to 2 of your opponent's Pokemon. This attack damage isn't affected by weakness or resistance, or by any effects of those Pokemon. Okay, so this is interesting to kind of try and get your head around. 20 damage to 50 damage to 2 of your opponent's Pokemon. This attack damage isn't affected by weaknesses or any effects on those Pokemon. So I believe we're hitting through Manaphy with that. Which is really interesting, because if you're playing Iron Valiants now, because we're losing Medicham, by the way, as well. No more Yogi Loops. Yogi Loops are gone for goodos, but there you go. Yeah, if you're playing the Iron Valiant, you can start switching and stuff, and potentially get knockouts on bench. Irritating Manaphy. Is Manaphy going? I don't know. Anyway, let's just assume it's not, just in case. Anyway, so yeah, that's going to be Iron Crown. I think Iron Crown seems very good. Iron Boulder. Let's get back to looking at some absolute crap for a second. 240 HP. This boy is a monstrosity and a monster. This is the Terrakion. 60 damage for Fighting Color. If this Pokemon takes damage from attacks during your opponent's turn, put 8 damage counters on the attacking Pokemon. Okay, I could still definitely see a place for this, for sure. Grass Weakness seems pretty good. It's got 240 HP anyway. You could do 80 damage again with that booster capsule. He's got free retreat off the 3 if you've got the booster capsule again. 3 energy, 200 damage, discard 2 energy from this Pokemon. You know, are you ever going to Power Stamp? Maybe. Are you ever going to play this card? Probably not. Iron Thorns. We're getting our Tyranitar, and a Tyranitar is Lightning type. It's not the first time Tyranitar has been Lightning type, and if you're thinking of Tyranitar EX Terrestrialize, I'm actually talking about the old Tyranitar EX Delta species, which I think was the first time a Tyranitar was ever Lightning. There may have been... No, that was it. That was the first time Tyranitar was ever Lightning. So Tyranitar now has been Lightning, if you include Iron Thorns, 3 times. Destropress, 70 damage times. Reveal the top 5 cards of your deck. Okay. 70 damage for each future card you find there. Discard the future card you reveal in this way and shuffle. Yeah, okay, let's just not even bother. Moving on. Cryptomaniac's Deciphering. Now, this is another one that's got people on the fence. Search your deck for 2 cards. Shuffle your deck, then put those cards on top of it in any order. Those of you that have been playing for a long time may recognize this ability. If we just go back to Google, because it's better for searching for this sort of thing. Pokemon card Oracle. Let's have a look. Oracle. Choose 2 cards from your deck and shuffle the rest of your deck. Put the chosen cards on top of your deck in any order. Yeah, we're getting a reprint of Oracle, ladies and gentlemen, but this time it is also a future card. I don't think they could have just reprinted Oracle as a future card. That would have made no sense. Yeah, so we've got Cryptomaniac's Deciphering, which is a really fun name as well. I feel like maybe there was an alternative translation for that, but I like that. I hope they stick with Cryptomaniac's Deciphering. Yeah, I think it's an interesting card. You can guarantee generators, but it does cost you a support for turn. So, you know, swings and roundabouts. Yeah, I think it's an interesting new card. It's interesting to see decent new supporters or sensible new supporters. Now, if we saw a world, we won't, but if we was like losing research and INO and all that, and Judge, then I think that would be a format I'd find really interesting. Or if they just said, you know what, we're just going to ban these cards and you're just going to have to play off of these supporters. I think that would make an interesting, much slower, more sluggish format, but a bit more of a slugfest for everyone. Finally, let's move on to some more ace specs. So the ace specs cards, you can have 1 ace spec card in your deck. We know about Master Ball. Here is Neo Upper Energy. That's purple. As long as this card is attached to a Pokemon, it provides colorless. As long as this card is attached to a Stage 2 Pokemon, this card provides every type of energy, provides 2 at a time. So you've got your double rainbow energy there, but only for Stage 2s, and you can only have 1 in the deck. So I think that's it. It's pretty mid, I think. It's pretty mid, but anyway. Prime Catcher. This is not mid. Prime Catcher is broken good. Switch one of your opponent's bench Pokemon to the active spot. If you do, switch your active Pokemon with one of your bench Pokemon. So you may recognize this text also. I'm not going to bother getting it up from Guzma, the original Guzma supporter. Not Guzma and Harlock, just Guzma. Same, but it was a supporter. This is just an item. There's not much more to say. I mean, if you're not running one of these, pretty much every deck's going to run one of these, and let's be honest, it's going to run one of these. There's more cards down here. Oh, is this? Oh, I just assumed they were going to split the Futurum and sorry, an itch in my ear. I was just assuming they're going to put all the ancients in one deck, one set, and all the future in the other. But maybe they split them, or maybe they're just in no particular order. I don't know. Anyway. Oh no, these are starter decks. Okay, so we have some starter decks as well here. But this is all going to be coming in our sets anyway, it doesn't really matter. Koraidon EX. This is an ancient Koraidon. It is dragon type. Pretty cool. The previous Koraidon, of course, was fighting, and it had a weakness to psychic. You'll see here this does not have a pesky weakness because it is dragon type, finally. 2 colorless, Vengeful Hammer, 20 damage plus. It has 10 more damage for each damage counter on this Pokemon. Inspiring you to have to knock this boy out, because if you don't, you're going to get hit with the fighting Kaiser Tackle for 280 damage. Yo, brother. 280 damage. This Pokemon does 6 damage to itself, but hey, you've just put your Ancient Booster Energy Capture on, so he now has 230 health still anyway. It doesn't matter. That is super strong. I don't think I saw this before. This is a big card. This thing hits hard. I mean, you think of how good something like Giratina V-Star is, being able to hit 280 damage. This is potentially going to be a big one. And that fire typing there, gouging fire. I mean, would you ever do you ever put them together and just do 280 and 260 all day? I suppose so, but Lost Box eats you up. Anyway, I think that's pretty good. Here's another Great Tusk. Chances are this thing sucks. 140 HP is pretty good for a basic. Lunge out for 30. See, this is the thing, right? This Pokemon takes fighting and colorless to do 30 damage, and then you've got Screamtail that does psychic energy slap for 30. It just, where's the consistency, Pokemon? Where's the what have you got against Great Tusk? Fighting colorless, 80 damage. If your benched Pokemon have any damage counters on this, does 160 more damage. Okay, well, that's okay. Moving on. Sandy Shocks. Okay. Get more sand. Magnetic Blast for 20 damage plus. If you have 3 or more energy in play, this attack does 90 damage. Okay, that sucks. New Screamtail, ladies and gentlemen. Screamtail here. It's not going to be very good. Oh, Jesus Christ. Heal 100 damage from one of your benched ancient Pokemon. Well, that's fun. Hyper Voice for 40. Yeah, probably not going to see play. Miraidon EX. Now we have a new future Miraidon. That's some cool artwork. Look at it looking down on you like you are just scum. I'm a future and you are scum. 220 HP, no changes there, but it is dragon type again, so no weakness, no resistance. Repulsion Bolt. I mean, it does look like it's just repulsed by you. 60 damage. If your opponent's active Pokemon already has any damage counters on it, this attack does 100 more damage. Okay. So you got 160 damage for 2 energy. It's pretty good. Lightning and Psychic. I don't know how you're powering this boy up, though. Lightning, colorless, Cyber Drive, 220 damage during your opponent's next turn. During your next turn, this Pokemon can't use Cyber Drive. Where have we seen that before? It's a shame that it does the same amount of damage. Really, I wonder if they as designers thought about, well, it is lightning psychic colorless. Could we give it 230? Could we do the 230 damage? Is it time, boys? Is it time to do it? And then maybe they just bitched out. I don't know, but interesting. I don't think it's very good. Just gonna throw it out there. But, yeah. I suppose you can future boost to capture it. Let's always remember that. Here's a new Iron Hands. 30 damage for coin of heads that the opponent becomes paralyzed. Super Alloy Hands, 80 plus. If your opponent's active Pokemon is a Pokemon EX or V, this attack does 160 damage instead. Could this be the single prize lightning attack that Miraidon has been desperately crying out for? Maybe it is, but it's probably too late because that deck is going to run very different with Fluffy if it's going to run at all. Just a reminder, we are losing Peony as well. Alright, we've got another Iron Valiant. This one is not an EX, 130 HP basics. Pretty good for a future card. Twin Lasers for 20. This does 20 more damage to one. Does 20 damage to one of your opponent's benched Pokemon. Zenblade 120. Junior next turn Pokemon. Right, let's just have a look at that. Cobalion again. Your future Pokemon's attacks do 20 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. Okay. I'm already looking at some synergy here where we can just be one energy. We've got those Iron Crowns in play, and we're just doing one energy. Okay, now it does 80. I've got future boost energy capture, one energy, 100 damage, 20, 20, 20. Pushing energy damage counters around the board. And then potentially just blow up the Virizion. Think something like that, maybe. Yeah, there's definitely some synergy here. I think the future cards are really gaining. We've got the new Iron Jugulus. We should always remember that the old Iron Jugulus, the current one as well. 3 energy, 50, 50, 50, I think it is, which is very good. Not played though currently. If this Pokemon is in the active spot and takes damage, put 3 down. Yeah, okay, that sucks. Do you play that? Do you ever play that? Nah. Forget about that. Forget about that. Master Ball. There it is. I didn't need to pull out. It was there. Okay, so that's our first one. Now this is where it gets real fun. Buddy Poffin. So Buddy Poffin is the thing that makes Charizard better. As we rest in peace lose the VIP pass, we gain Buddy Poffin here. Search your deck for up to 2 basic Pokemon with 70 HP or less and put them onto your bench of your deck afterwards. Now you can use this anytime in the game, not just in the first turn, but it has to be on these lower HP basics, i.e. on Charmanders. So yeah, essentially these decks that require a bit of setup, like Charizard, although Charizard seems to do fine without too much setup, they are going to get an advantage here with the Buddy Poffin. This could be good with Lost Box, but you cannot get your Radiant Greninja, you cannot get Sableye, you can get Comfey. We might see that Ditto suddenly again from is it the one? Yeah, the 151 Ditto suddenly might get a lot better, not a lot more played. But again, now you'd have to Poff in turn 1, so sort of put you in a similar situation. But yeah, the Buddy Poffin seems pretty good. I don't know if these, if I don't know the Charizard, I should say specifically Charizard. I don't know that it needed the extra help. Let's just say that. But hey ho, that's what we got. It looks like our set is going to be called Temporal Forces as well, so we can talk about everything being in Temporal Forces. Here's some new stuff again now from Wild Force and Cyber Judge, assumingly going into Temporal Forces in March. Rellor. Don't even know what this Pokemon is, never heard of it before. Weird. Oh, it's a dung beetle. Okay, fine. Rabsca. Does Rabsca evolve from Rellor? It does. Okay. Prevent all damage from and effects of attacks done to your bench Pokemon. Ah, yes. So this is the new combo Manaphy Jirachi, but it is a stage 1 and it has to evolve from a 50 HP grass basic, which sucks. So this is interesting. I don't know if people are going to make the commitment. People might just have to accept, oh god, 70 HP. That's so bad. That's so bad. But hey ho, needs must, eh? If you want to have your bench safe from Sableye and from the baby Iron Valiant, then you're gonna have to play a 1/1 Rabsca and hope that your Rellor doesn't get yeeted before you can get a Rabsca going. Mist Energy as well. As long as this card is attached to a Pokemon, it provides colorless. Prevent all effects of attacks done from your opponent's Pokemon done to this Pokemon card is attached to. So this could be fun for the colorless Lugia. This will also protect you against the dreaded Roaring Moon auto knockout. So it's an interesting one. Probably not as good as some other cards, but yeah, we're getting more and more new cards here. Once again, more from Wild Force and Cyber Judge, Dunsparce and Dunsparce. Dunsparce does not a lot. Dunsparce. Once during your turn, you may draw 3 cards if you do shuffle this Pokemon or cards attached into your deck. I can't decide if that's good or not. Maybe if you're running like a 3-3 line, you could be in a position where you just go in, man. You're just going at it. But ultimately, I think there's better stuff to fill the board with, isn't there? New Sableye. How toxic is this Sableye? 2 colorless energy, damage cut to move any number of damage cutters from your opponent's bench Pokemon to their. Oh my god. Very toxic, as it turns out. Okay, so for a double turbo energy, you can put any number of damage counters on your opponent's bench, i.e. what you've just done with your Iron Valiant, onto your opponent's active Pokemon and just delete them. Interesting, toxic. You expect nothing less from a Sableye, do you? I think most Sableyes are meant to be toxic. We got a new Ace Spec card. Interesting stuff. So this is the Hero's Cape. Can be attached to any Pokemon, not just Rulebox or non-Rulebox. This Pokemon gains 100 more HP. It is a Pokemon tool. Yeah, interesting. You get an extra 100 HP. I heard someone at the challenge was at on Sunday say that this can't be removed, but I think they've just misread. It stays attached. Unless I'm thinking of a different tool. I think it is that tool, but either way, yeah, you can just eat that. That's fine. But yeah, interesting. Hero's Cape, extra 100 HP. Could be a contender against that catcher ace spec for sure. Will be tough to deal with some 430 odd HP EXs. That would be a real bugger. Alright, we got some more here. We got a new Reuniclus. Now, but start with. Oh, excuse me. Solosis. Prize attack 30 damage. Yeah, 40 HP is just not going to cut it, is it? I feel like Reuniclus always has a bad time. I don't know any Reuniclus that's ever been any good. Summoning Gate. Look at the top 8 cards of your deck and put any number of Pokemon you find that onto your bench. It's just bait, isn't it? It's just absolute bait. At least the character card is pretty cool. Very good. Well done, Pokemon, for making some nice artwork on that. 50 new cards. God dang. Alright, well, we are going to have to settle in here for some new stuff here. More to be revealed for the set. We got a new Metagross. Now let's have a look at the Metang. The Beldon's not doing too much. Once during your turn, you may look at the top 4 cards of your deck. Choose any number of basic metal energy you find and attach them to your Pokemon any way you like. Shuffle the other cards and put them onto the bottom of your deck. So this is interesting because the problem that you get with Electric Generator is that if you whiff, you just shuffle all the cards back into the entire deck. With this, you shuffle the cards that you do not take out to the bottom, as if you'd just been Iron Node. So chaining Metangs, chaining Metal Maker, actually allows you to. It gives you a better chance to see those energy. So we could see a world here where just playing the Metangs for energy acceleration could be an acceptable strategy. Don't know what needs metal energy though, unfortunately. It's quite a specific one. There's not a lot of metal Pokemon that can take advantage of that yet. There's Metagross here. Meteor Mash. 60 damage and during your next turn do 120. So you're accumulating 180 damage in 2 turns for 1 energy. This is very good for GLC, I would think. 180 damage can be quite difficult to knock out in that format. You may even get the metal colorless attack of Luster Blast. 200 damage, discard 2 energy from this Pokemon. You may get that as well. But overall, pretty mid. A new Raichu. These are usually kind of interesting. Winding Bolt. 50 damage to each Pokemon with damage counts on it, other than this Pokemon. Oh, right, so it hits its own Pokemon as well. That seems... Just slide back. That seems kind of wild. It's a bit like a trade-off with that Electivire that we got. It's like 3 energy, do 50 to everything. But yeah, 50 damage to each Pokemon with damage counts on it. That could be good. Again, in GLC, maybe not bit too... not quite cutting it for standard, probably, but interesting nonetheless. Definitely want to keep an eye on. We've got the Big Wig. The Big Wig doesn't do too much, but the Big Wug. Lightning type still requires water. Excuse me. Is terrestrialized, so it cannot be hit on the bench. Troika Pump. Discard up to 3 energy cards from your hand and choose one of your opponent's Pokemon to add the 6 damage to that Pokemon for each energy you discarded. So, yeah, 180 damage potentially to the bench. It's okay. Tingly Bolt, 120 damage during your next turn. This defending opponent can't retreat. That's pretty annoying, actually. This could be a tech card, but I can't see it being too much more. We have also got a new Gengar EX, which is Dark type, weak to fighting. 310 HP, and it has an ability as well. Whenever your opponent attaches an energy from your hand to one of their Pokemon, 2 damage counters on that Pokemon. Pretty bad ability, if you ask me. Trick Step, 160 damage for 2 dark. You may move 1 energy from your opponent's active Pokemon to one of their bench Pokemon. Really just bad. We'll just move on. I'm really sad to see a Gengar just get done dirty like that. It's not on. We have a new Shiftry. Shiftry is always a bit hit and miss. Expelling Tornado. Choose 3 of your opponent's bench Pokemon. Shuffle all of your opponent's other bench Pokemon and all attached cards into their deck. Again, this is potentially kind of really annoying. But I don't know if we're going to see a deck really utilize this attack. I could be wrong, though. The problem... Sorry, I don't know what it's about recording. I always get really yawny. The problem with stuff like that is, as the other player, you just don't... you just play around and you just don't bench stuff. You just don't bench anything. And you're like, okay, well, I'm just going to bench the attackers that I need and the support Pokemon I need. I'm not going to go wide. I'm just going to leave it as is. And it just loses. For Alligator, now this I believe has a little bit of potential. Once you're in your turn, you may put 5 damage counters on this Pokemon. Jesus Christ! If you do this, this Pokemon's attack does 120 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon during this turn. So you do 50 damage to yourself, and you do 200 what? 280 damage. What? 100, 200? Yeah. Right, that's pretty broken if you ask me. I mean, if you can power up Gators efficiently, you are hitting big numbers for a single prizer for sure. That is huge numbers, huge numbers. You're not going to do Great Wave during your next turn, but who cares? You just did 280. Again, very powerful for GLC. Interesting card for sure. One to put on the radar. I don't really know where it would go yet, but I could see LDF doing something with it. Whimsicott. Once during your turn, when you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon, you may use this ability to heal all damage from your active grass Pokemon. If you do remove, discard all energy. Yeah, okay, that's not very good. Let's just move on. That's just a waste of time. Relicanth. Now, this is, I believe, an interesting one. Each of your evolved Pokemon can use any attacks from its previous evolution. Now, this really opens up the door and forces you to go back through every single set for every single Pokemon that you've ever got and never not got and ever not bothered with to see if there's ever an opportunity for you to take advantage of a previous form of evolution for a Pokemon that we currently have that we cannot currently do that with. The answer is that there is something, but it's still pretty niche. And it just so happens that that something is Litten, Terracat, and Incineroar. The Incineroar from one of the more recent sets, I want to say, can use the attacks of its previous evolutions below it as its attack. Yeah, that was a big one. So Relicanth is going to allow you to do that for all of your Pokemon in play. This Litten is not very good. This Torracat is also not very good. We have Incineroar EX though, finally. The attack used by this Pokemon costs 1 colorless less for each of your opponent's benched Pokemon. I think this is a really interesting one. If they have 1, 2, 3, 4 bench, then you can do 240 damage for 1 fire energy, and your opponent's active Pokemon is now burned. He has 320 HP. Look at that absolute hero. Big HP, big damage for potentially not a lot of energy. Very similar to Charizard, Radiant Charizard there. Yeah, I'm quite interested in Incineroar actually. I think it seems pretty good. Let's just move on now. Girafarig. Girafarig has an evolution which I can't pronounce. Farigiraf EX. Damage. Prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by attacks from your opponent's basic Pokemon EX. So it could be a nice little tech if you're worried about coming against some kind of like modern future TDK style aggro deck, which people have been talking about. Sneaky Beams, 106 damage, to 30 damage to one of your opponent's benched Pokemon. So it's kind of nice. Not too bad. Again, potentially a tech card, but let's not get too ahead of ourselves. We have a Roaring Moon. This one is not on the X. He looks like he's in pain. 140 HP is a lot for a basic. Vengeful Feathers, interesting attack. 70 damage. This attack does 10 more damage for each ancient card in your discard pile. If you're going to start playing this, you could be playing it in Roaring Moon. It could be a late sweeper. You can easily accumulate 7, 8, probably 10 ancient cards in the discard pile. Currently, we don't have a massive amount, but there are more coming, so I don't see a reason not to. Yeah, it could just be a nice single prize attacker. He's got good HP. It could just be what Roaring Moon needs, which is just that, a nice single prize attacker that can hit hard. 4 energy, 120 is pretty pointless. We don't really need to worry about that. We've got a new Koraidon. Primeval Battering. 30 damage. This is 30 damage for each of your ancient Pokemon in play. So that's 150, right? No. 6 times 3 is 180. So you can actually do 180. If that said on the bench, that would have been... But yeah, you could... it's actually not bad. It's actually not bad. 180 for 2 energy. Shred, 130 damage. Damage. Oh, and it has a Shred, because, you know, it's not even in the X Pokemon, but it has a Shred. Great Tusk. I believe this is the second Great Tusk I've looked at today. Same HP, new attacks. Discard the top card of your opponent's deck. If you play an ancient supporter card for your hand during your turn, discard 3 more cards. Oh my god. So we're going to be going Sada to mill 4. Sada to mill 4, guys. That could be toxic. And we got another new Iron Valiant here. 2 in 1 set seems like a lot. Calculation. Look at the top 4 cards of your deck, put them back on top of your deck, and then you look, that is just so bad. 100 damage. If you played a future supporter card for your hand, you return this. That does 200 damage for 3 energy. Yeah, I just think it's not as good as the other one. Now here's a card I think could be played. Miraidon. Speed. Peak. 40 damage. Such deck for up to 2 basic energy. Attach them to your future Pokemon any way you like. Now if you go first, go second, play down Iron Crown EXs, you can ramp up damage and power up your benched future EX Pokemon to smash next turn. That's the dream. That's the TDK style of play, which, as you know, did win, I believe, one of World Championships. Good style of deck. We're seeing it, I believe, all over again here, ladies and gentlemen. Iron Treads is bad. Let's just move on. Order Box. If you use this card, your turn ends. Search your deck for 2 item cards, reveal them, put them into your hand, then shuffle your deck. So this is interesting because could we now say that this is the new Peony build Miraidon? You just use Order Box for 2 Jennies, and then you pass, and then turn to your Iron Hands, and you lol. Potentially. That's obviously not as good, and we have to just accept that. Hand Clippers is also a really interesting tech card, and I am excited to see people just play this just to annoy the opponent. I'll just explain what it is. Both players discard the cards from their hand until they both have 5 cards. That's an item. That is so good. I remember when I first started playing Pokemon again, and I played Cinderace VMAX. Boring myself. One of the biggest problems I had as the Incineroar... It's not called Incineroar, is it? Cinderace VMAX. Excuse me, Cinderace VMAX. The biggest problem I had as the Cinderace VMAX player was coming against Baby Blounds, the Baby Blacephalon. I just could not keep up with the prize trading and just take 3 prizes, and I lose. So what I realised was that they build up a very big hand. So what I did was I put in the promo Apom, which actually came in the Reshizard League Battle deck, and that did a similar attack. It did 1 energy yank. Your opponent just has to discard cards from the hand until they have 5 left. Or maybe it's like you choose, but you don't see, or something. Yeah, something like that. But either way, you would just end up crippling your opponent. And I had a few situations where I was just did yank out, and my opponent would just scoop because I just crippled them. So quite fun. So maybe Hand Clippers, similar situation. I'm just going to absolutely yeet your opponent's hand into oblivion. Emergency Board. This card actually plays 1 less to retreat. If this Pokemon has 30 HP or less, it has no retreat. I think this is really interesting. We've been waiting a little while now to have a new Air Balloon, and this is it. It's nice to see that. It's always good to have an Air Balloon in format. New Bianca. Heal all damage from one of your Pokemon with 30 HP or less remaining. That's awful. Eri. Look at the opponent's hand. Choose 2 item cards you find there and discard them. Okay, Control gets more stuff. You got to have Control. Drum of Awakening. This is a new ace spec for ancient Pokemon specifically. Draw cards for each of your ancient Pokemon in play. That is an item. Wowzers. That could be very good with the ancient. Well, of course, it's an ancient card, isn't it? Ancient deck. The thing is that the cross catcher is just so good. Can we afford to not play it? Especially since we lose cross switches as well. Reboot Bot. For each of your future Pokemon in play, choose 1 basic energy from your discard pile and attach it to that Pokemon. Again, that could be that's a game changer, isn't it? I mean, that's a momentum shifter. You've got all this energy in discard pile. You've got 4 future Pokemon in play. You reboot Bot, and then suddenly your future Virizion goes into active. It's easily got 3 energies. You're hitting 180. You're going to stick a future booster capture. You're doing 200. There's an Iron Crown. Make that 220. GG's, baby. Yeah, wow, there's some great new stuff coming out, and we just don't have a lot of time. Look at that, look. Oh, one absolute criminal. We just don't have a lot of time. Oh, God was not kind to you. Oh, well, we just don't have a lot of time to really explore all of this before EUIC, I feel like. We're going to have to start exploring it. You need to start exploring it now, or you're going to be left behind. Yeah, it's crazy. Really, really good. And there's just a couple more tabs open here. So we've got a new Sizzle EX. I'm not going to bother looking at the Scyther. 270 HP from the Sizzle EX. Weak to fire, of course, 2 energy retreat cost. And in standard Sizzle EX fashion, 70 damage. Junior opponent's next turn. This Pokemon takes 50 less damage from attacks. So it's doing that the old thing that a Sizzle would do, where it reduces the amount of damage into it. And then this is an interesting one, Cross Breaker, 120 times. Discard up to 2 metal energy from this Pokemon. This stat does 120 damage for each energy card discarded in this way. Could this be your combo for Metagross or Metang? Could be. Anyway, let's move on. We're not going to waste too much more of your time on this shenanigans. We have a new, I think this is the last one. Yep, we have a new Vikavolt, new Grubbin here. Search depth for 2 Grubbin and put on the bench. I respect that. New Charabug, which is pointless. Okay, the new Vikavolt. So then, what are we doing? Mach Bolt, 1 energy, 50. Seems fair. Serial Cannon, 120 plus. This has 80 more damage for each of your bench Charabug. Charabug is the mid. At most, you're going to get 3. I don't think there's a way to get the Vikavolt into play without using a Grubbin, and a Grubbin will be needed for a Charabug. I don't think you can get stage 1s into play now. We're losing the Mighty Zoro, of course, Zoroark with the transformation. So you can do, well, like you get 1 on the bench, you're doing 200, which is pretty good. That's very good for 2 lining. Get a second on the bench for 200. Jesus, 280 is actually really good. Get the whole squad out. 3 Charabugs on the bench, 360 damage, if I've done my calculations correctly there. Yeah, 3 8s are 24 plus 12. Yeah, 16. Yeah, 36. Yeah. So 360 damage. 360 damage for 2 energy is nothing to be sniffed at. How are you doing it? Who the hell knows? Anyway, that is going to do it. This video has gone on pretty much about as long as I would like it to go on for. That is our Temporal Forces set due in March. It is going to be the one that's going to take us into EUIC as well. I am planning to go to EUIC. So yeah, very exciting. It's going to be good. If you're going to EUIC, I'll see you there. If you're going to Liverpool, I will see you there also. Please, once again, leave a like, a comment, a subscribe, share the video around, and I will see you again the next time. Do watch my lives, what I've been doing lives, so watch those too. Cheers, everyone. Bye-bye.